Hello, this is Professional Skills in Music. I'm here with Steph and I'm going to ask him a few questions. So Steph, how are you, mate? You alright?
Okay.
Alright, no, I'm good, man. I'm good. You know how it is. So, how would you approach a new piece of work outside your comfort zone?
Oh man, that's a hard question.
Yeah,
Last week's ones were easy.
Yeah.
To be honest, it totally depends. Can you give me some form of scenario in which I'd be out of my comfort zone?
So let's say you go into a recording session in the
Yeah.
studio and you meet some new talent. They've got a different vibe. You have to kind of suit their vibe, you know what I'm saying? Adapt to what kind of music they're playing.
Okay.
How would you act in that situation?
Well, am I going in as a producer?
Yeah, yes.
I'd assert my dominance, to be honest with you, so they all knew I was in charge of the situation.
Why would you need to do that?
Why would you need to do that? Because from a role of a producer, and from a professional skills point of view, do any of you lot here know what a producer's role is?
Yeah.
Go on then.
Yeah.
What's the role of a producer?
I said it to you last time.
You're like the boss of the recording session.
Pretty much, yeah. It's up to you to make sure that you maintain absolutely everything that's going on. So if you're in a new situation with people who you don't really necessarily know all that well, they need to understand and you need to make sure that they're fully aware that regardless of what's going on, you're in control of the situation and that you're in charge. Because if I'm not in charge, when the whole thing goes, I could get 3-4 days worth of recording down and it could be completely worthless. If you're in control of the situation, you're in charge of the situation, you're going to make sure that you stay on top of everything and you come out with a good product at the end. Yes.
Can I have a follow-up question there?
Yes.
Is that right? Would you ask them a lot of questions?
To be honest with you, I'd probably ask the one who I thought was the leader a lot of questions.
Right.
Rather than asking all of them a lot of questions, because in a situation, if you're in a situation with a whole bunch of people, 9 times out of 10 you can find the one leader in the group. They're the one, if you get them on your side, they're the one that will control everyone else. So I'd go for that guy first.
Yeah. But the questions are necessary in gathering all the information that you need. Say you do a lot with rock, but then you have people that you've done a genre that you've never done before. Is it important then to ask all the questions?
Yeah. However, for me personally, what I do is I do as much as I can up front researching whatever that genre is. So before I go into it, I don't need to ask them a bunch of the questions because I already know the answers that I'd be searching for.
Sure.
So, for example, like you said, if I produce a lot of rock acts and I'm going into work with, hip hop, for example, I'd put my effort in researching as much as I can about that artist, what that artist is capable of doing already, whether they're capable of writing their own beats, so they're going to be sourcing it from elsewhere, and then I take that further into the point where when I'm in there, I already know what that person's strengths and weaknesses are, so that before the session even starts, I know what I've got to work on.
My next question is, what are 2 approaches you apply to your everyday works that has a positive outcome, and what is that approach?
Trying to be organised.
Why is it good to be organised?
As a tutor, if you're not organised, I'm a course leader for the HE in music, and if I'm not organised with my course, the entire thing will fall apart. And it's not just me that relies on it. I have a class of 10 students, and if I'm disorganised, all of those 10 students, it's their future that's going to fall apart. At the end of the day, I get paid the same regardless of whether I do my work or I don't do my work at the minute, to be totally honest with you. At the level I teach at HE, it's less about me managing behaviour and about me phoning people and kind of saying, you need to get your ass into college. And it's more about me to sit there and say to them, you know what you're doing, it's about you maintaining this yourself. I just need to provide them with all of the resources so that they can take ownership of it themselves.
I understand.
You would have a tutor team to manage and organise
Yeah, of course,
as well
yeah,
as the
and that's the thing.
students,
For the HE course that we're running, it's more, to be honest with you, it's much harder maintaining and organising the team of tutors that I've got rather than the students. The students know what they want to do and they're here to do it. It's the tutors making sure that not only are they keeping up with the workload that they have to do for their own courses, that's their priority.
Yeah.
My priority is my course, so I need to make sure that regardless of what they're doing for their own roles, they're doing what I need them to do for me.
Yeah.
Because if they don't do what I need them to do for me, then it's just loads more work for me to do, basically.
What are the most important skills needed for the music industry, and why are these skills?
And why are these skills?
Hey, Don't kill the messenger.
What
I
are
mean
these
exactly
skills?
what you're saying.
Let's just ask what are the most important
Why is it
skills?
these skills? That doesn't even make sense.
Sorry. It was probably good for
What are these skills?
Yeah.
What are these skills?
Being confident, I think, is quite a big one.
Why would you say that?
Because if you think about it, regardless of whatever industry you decide to go and work in your life, you need to be able to sell yourself. You need to make sure that you know what you're doing when you get there. Music's really different to nearly any other industry on the planet for the
It's
simple
all about
reason
how
that
you look.
you are your brand. If you think about it, you're what you're trying to sell. If you're not confident and you can't sell it, like if I went to see you lot play, for example, you got up on stage and you stood there and you were like, and then you got off stage, I'd be like, I want to work with that.
Yeah.
What's the point?
Yeah.
Whereas if you get up on stage, and even if you play an awful show, but you put everything you've got into it and you enjoy yourself while you're up there, I'm going to leave thinking, I want to work with that.
Good stage presence.
A good stage presence and confidence in what you're doing is going to help you to sell it to me. If you don't look like you're enjoying what you're doing when you're up there, regardless of how good the performance is, if you're not selling to me that you want to be there, I'd just be sitting there thinking, why would I want to work with you if you're not selling it to me when there's 100 other people out there who are going to sell it to me more? They might not be as good as you, but they want it more than you. So I'm going to obviously want to work with someone who wants it.
Are you saying in a sense that it's easier to develop their skills than it is their confidence? So if you saw an unskillful performance, but you knew that they really believed in it, it's easier to work with that person than work with the unconfident but has got good skills.
Yeah, because those unconfident with the skills, they're the people that don't want it, in my opinion. From my opinion on what I've seen in my life and people I've worked with before, those who are unbelievably confident in what they do, who don't have the skill base necessarily for it, they're overcompensating for their skills by trying to win you over with what they want. To flip it the other way, and you've got people who are not confident at all in their performance, yet they're unbelievably talented. If you ever converse with those people about what it is that they're doing, you look at them and you'll see from those people there that it's like, well, yeah, I'm good at it, but it's not really what I want. It's not really what I want to do. You've got the opposite. We've got it on our course. Amy Brill, for example. Amy Brill is not a confident person. When she gets on stage, she's able to pull confidence out of nowhere, just for that moment. When she gets off stage, she leaves the confidence on the stage. That's different. If you got someone that got on stage, that wasn't confident, that played a blinding set and then got off again with exactly the same confidence they had when they got on and got off the stage, if you converse with that person afterwards, 9 times out of 10 you're going to find that person, they're doing it because they're capable of doing it, not because they want to do it.
So it's the confidence, it's almost the driver in them to push through these barriers.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it, if you find someone who, if you want something and you really want it, you'll do whatever you have to sell it to someone. And that's the key here. The key in music is being able to sell yourself and your brand, like, aside from confidence. If you're not organised and you're not prepared, I keep going back to the same thing I spoke about last time. Preparation is key to everything, especially in this industry. It moves so quick. What's big and what's working now, that might not work next week. Especially if you look at the room we're in a technologically advanced room, yet everything in here is really out of date. In half term, we're getting new equipment put in this room and put in the other room. Week after half term, it's going to be out of date. You have to know what you're working with, and you need to be adaptable to move through it.
Keep up with the times.
Exactly.
My next question is, what behaviours do you expect from other members at a rehearsal, and what are these certain behaviours?
Respect. Said this last time as well. Yeah, you need to be able to respect everyone else in the room. When someone needs their space or someone needs their privacy, you need to be able to respect that they need that.
You said also about going on tour as well.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, touring's the same. But rehearsal is what just prepares you to go on tour. But when you're in a rehearsal, I expect everyone to turn up to a rehearsal and have learned their parts. If I get to a rehearsal and you're working for me as a session musician and you turn up and you do not know your parts, I'm just going to sack you there and then. Because I ain't got time to waste on that.
So there's no second chances in a lot of situations. I think that's a key message to take out of that.
In this
you
industry,
think you're going to get another chance. I can have a failure, and they will see what the failure is and advise me as to how to get it better, and I'll get a second chance. But some places, if you ain't ready there and then, you're no good.
I have a friend of mine who's just finished a PhD in music, and he went to work at a studio, like to assist with an engineer in a studio. And he walked through the door at the studio. He'd never met the guy before, and the guy gave him a whole list of commands and said, "Go on, then go." Never met the guy before, and he was just expected to go in and set everything up exactly as this guy wanted it set up in about half an hour. And he was like, so I said, you know, how did it go in the end? And he was like, yeah, it was perfect. You know, I'd used what I'd learned at university and I got the job done. But, you know, I put my time in beforehand and I researched the way he set stuff up himself. So I knew what he wanted. Yeah, exactly. If I hadn't done that and he'd gone in and said that, I wouldn't have even made it through the door before him telling me to bugger off.
How often do you rehearse when you're first performing a song?
Me personally, I play music every day, regardless of whether I'm touring, I'm writing, I'm not writing. I play my guitar every day.
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah, it's not even just practice makes perfect. I do it because I enjoy it. You know, it's an escape from reality.
Would you say, in this generation, a lot of people are losing the passion for music and just want to get money out of it?
Yeah, there's nobody really nowadays. Well, I say nobody really nowadays. This is the wrong way to put it because I'm very overgeneralising what I'm saying right now. But a lot of people nowadays have lost the drive and the passion to do what it is that they want to do because of this whole celebrity culture that people are locked into. You know, the celebrity culture ends up being, you go on X Factor, you go on The Voice, you go on one of those shows, you do that, it boosts your profile. Once you boost your profile, you can then make money. Once you make money, it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. The key to doing all that is writing a good song. If you can't write a good song, fuck would I want to listen to you?
Yes, it's funny. What approaches do you take towards recording sessions?
I'm really horrible to work with in a recording studio.
Right.
Because I'm an arsehole in a studio. I have a very distinct way of doing it, and if you can't do it the way I want people to do it, then you just go and I'll get someone else. I have a very fine timeline because everything I do comes out of my pocket, so I'm paying for it. So I make sure that if I'm in a band or I'm working with a band, I go into a rehearsal studio with them a week before the recording and they play all of their songs to me until they can play them perfectly the first time. Once we do that, we get into the studio and I tell all of them, this is how long we're recording for. If you can't record your parts within this time frame, you tell me and I find someone else that can.
Okay.
You're a perfectionist still?
Yeah, I am.
You like things precise. What are your attitudes towards live sound producers when preparing for a live performance?
I think you need to understand the bands that you're working with more than anything.
Yeah.
You know, there's being able to capture a live sound performance is really different, quite difficult in comparison to a studio recording. In a studio recording, you have the benefit of time. If it goes wrong,
then you can just redo it.
You can do it again.
Yeah.
When you do it live, you have one shot. If it goes
yeah.
wrong, that's it. And the problem from a live sound point of view is that live sound requires two parties to work harmoniously with one another. One is the engineer, the other's the band. If the band aren't working with the engineer, it's not going to work. If the engineer's not working with the band, it's not going to work. An engineer has the ability to make a band sound unbelievably incredible or unbelievably awful. And a band has the exact same opportunity to make an engineer sound really good, an engineer sound really bad. So it's all down to preparation. The more time you put in with that band beforehand, knowing what you want and need from them and what they want and need from you, the more chance you're going to have of nailing it the first time.
Speaking about just sound engineers and touring in general, what advice would you give for amateur musicians on touring?
From a musician point of view or a sound engineer point of view?
Musician point of view.
Be respectful. It all comes back to being respectful. If you're not respectful to the crew that you're working with, they have the ability to ruin it for you. You know, I've played before with some of the most unbelievably talented bands, and I've shared stages with unreal people. And I've played and shared stages with people who, in my opinion, don't deserve to be there. And I'm very opinionated if you haven't gathered that already.
Why would you say they don't deserve to be there?
For me personally, there's an awful lot of music out there nowadays that doesn't resonate with being a true musician, is the way I'd put it.
Why would you say
Because for me, I have a strong thing that if you can't write your own songs, for me, you don't deserve to be there. You're just facilitating someone else's thing. For a real musician, you need to be able to write your own material. Fair, I'm all down with collaborations, cool. But people who cannot write their own material, I don't think they deserve to be the ones up there because they're taking credit for someone else's work. Yeah, exactly. And the problem with it, from a live point of view, if you're not respectful to the people who you're working with, from a live sound point of view, band to techie or techie to band, it doesn't matter. It's gonna fall the performance. I played a show before in Birmingham and we were headlining. It was in a really big venue and the venue was sold out. We were supposed to go on stage at 9 o'clock. Got to 9:15 and our monitor engineer was nowhere to be seen. He wasn't ours, he worked for the venue. And he was outside the venue just getting caned. So he rolls in at 9:15, we go on stage and within the first song I'm like, mate, you need to turn the bass down. I can't hear anything other than the bass and all I want to hear is my guitar. Turn the bass down. He was being a bit of an arsehole, so he turned the bass up even more. So I unplugged the monitor and threw it at him. And then within about 5 minutes he was dragged out by security and he was fired.
What happened to the whole performance?
Nothing, I just played without a monitor, turned the guitar up behind me and just carried on going. Because I was there, I was getting paid to do something. I was getting paid to perform. I wasn't getting paid to tell this guy how to do his job and to maintain that he was doing it correctly. He should have known how to do that, and he didn't.
Yeah. What specific skills are you great at in the music industry?
All of it.
All of it?
No. I'd say I'm an alright songwriter.
Yeah.
I'd say I'm a great performer. I'd say I'm a good producer. And I'd say I'm okay with, from a mixing and mastering point of view, as an engineer in a studio.
Why did you say you're a great performer but not a great producer? Which one do you prefer most?
Because I made my career in performing. I haven't made a career as a producer.
Okay.
I've got work as a producer and I continue to get work as a producer. But what I made a name for myself in was performing. So that's what signed me the record deal that I signed. You know, I didn't sign a record deal because I was a producer. Producing something I do on the side because I really love and enjoy it. But performing, I think, is what I'm the best at.
Oh, okay. Why would you say you're the best at performing?
Because when I get on stage,
what was that question?
why would I say I'm the best at performing? Because when I get on stage, I know that no matter who else is in the room, I'll outperform them. Because I know I can.
That's really good.
Confidence again.
Yeah. How do you network yourself in the music industry? What approaches do you take to promote yourself?
You have to be friends with everybody, which is something that I don't enjoy doing, to be honest with you.
I've kissed up to a lot of people.
You don't have to kiss ass to anybody. You need to be polite and respectful to people, and you need to make friends with people. I'd say that's my biggest downfall in the industry, is the whole networking side of things. Like I said last week as well, last time we did this, that with regards to networking, I was in a band with a bunch of people who that's what they love to do. They love to go and talk about the fact they were in a band and love to go and talk to people about it. I didn't care. You know, for me it was never about that. It was about playing, performing. And the people who I network with, 9 times out of 10, were the more important people in it, for the simple reason that I'd be networking with the people who could help me in my career from a longevity point of view. Not a quick snapshot of, oh, this is the guy that's booking the bands down the road. Oh, hey man, how's it going? I was like, cool. Who's the guy that owns the venue? I want to talk to that guy.
So
I don't want to talk. Yeah, I don't want to talk to the guy who's working today. I want to talk to the guy who owns it, because he's the guy that's going to be there for longer. So it's all about, with me, when I try and network with anyone, I always go to the highest person I can find. They're the ones that are going to be able to help in the long run. But still, I prefer just spending time with myself, to be honest with you. I think the music industry as a whole is really fickle, and there are a lot of people in the music industry who are words I probably shouldn't say on camera.
I'll just interject there as well with something that crosses my mind, is that, like you say, because it's so fickle, you've got to really get used to rejection without it affecting your confidence. So unless you're determined to just keep knocking on those doors every time, no mate, alright, no mate, alright, no mate,
Yeah.
It can take years sometimes, and if you get smashed down by all them no's, your drivers stop working, and you haven't got the same passion and determination. You've got to keep that up, because eventually someone will say, yeah, a door will open.
And with what Don's just said, it's another case of no mate, why?
Yeah.
If you don't ask the why, you're not going to know what to do better.
Mm-hmm.
If you give them the why, and then they're like, all right, it's this, then you go away, and 2 weeks later you go, all right, here you go, there's that, there's the why. And then if they turn around and they're like, nah mate, then you go again, why? What is it this time that you want? I've proved the last one, what do I need to prove the next time? And if you keep going back and you can ask them the question why, and they say no, and you can prove to them that you can do it, eventually it's going to get to the point where there are no more. They're just like, all right, fair enough, you've proved everything, go for it.
Yeah.
See, if someone wants to start getting involved in the music industry,
Speak up with the question.
if someone wants to start getting involved in the music industry, what advice would you give them about certain skills and approaches?
The first question I'd say is, do you really want to get involved in the music industry? That's the first question.
Why would you say the music? Why wouldn't you want to get involved?
Because it's like, it's not for everybody. Let's just put it that way.
Why would you say that?
It requires an awful lot of you. It requires an awful lot of you, your person, and your being to do it. And some people think and feel, yeah, this is for me, without fully understanding what it actually takes. For you to be successful in a band as an artist, like to tour, anything like that, you need to give up everything.
Yeah.
And like, people don't know that. You have to give up everything.
I had a question on that as well.
And like the thing, I finished my degree in 2007, and the day I finished my degree, I'd actually finished my degree a month earlier than the rest of my course, because my record label had to phone the university, and my manager had to go for a meeting with the dean of the university, and I had all of my exams brought forward a month earlier than the rest of my course. And my dissertation, I don't have a copy of. It was locked in a room at the university because my dissertation was owned by my record label. So the record company didn't want the university to have it because it was unreleased material that the band had, that the record label had paid £1 million for. So I had all of my degree moved forward so I could do my exams before everyone else in the course. And the day I finished my exams, they had to destroy my dissertation.
What's the dissertation?
It's your final end of year project.
Oh, okay.
So they had to destroy it because I couldn't be there to pick it up, and because the label wouldn't allow it to be out there. And my dissertation was kept in a room, locked. The only person that had a key was the head of the music department. So he was the only person that could gain access to my work, which is stupid. It's ridiculous. But I finished my dissertation, finished my degree, and the day I finished my degree, my dad picked me up, and he was driving me home with all the stuff, and I got a phone call and it said, you need to go to the airport. So I went to my house, picked up my guitar, I went to the airport, and then I was on tour for 18 months. Didn't go home for 18 months. So I gave up all my friendships, gave up all my relationships, didn't see my family for 2 years. And then finished that touring cycle, came back, all of my friends had changed. I didn't know who they were anymore. You know, and then I went and started working on the next album, then I went on tour again for another 2 years. You give up everything. People don't know this.
Yeah.
People think it's really easy. It's not.
Yeah, but
They see the glam, don't they? They see the glam of it all.
it's just but more time I reckon it's like not the friends who like if they don't change, then you'll see who your friends are, because people who change often I don't think they're friends. They're just accomplices.
If you've grown up with people at the time, I was 21 when I went, and I'd grown up with people for 21 years, and then I went away on tour and I came back when I was 23, and all of those people, I couldn't associate with any of those people anymore. A lot of it was down to the fact that a lot of people were jealous of the accomplishment I'd had in my career that they wanted, that they didn't have. And it makes it really awkward when someone asks you how things are going in your career and you go, yeah, it's going all right. Because you know if you say to them, yeah, it's amazing, I'm doing this, this, this and this, you can just see the resentment fall on their face straight away. So you literally have to be prepared to give up your entire life in the hope that this is going to work. And I tell you one thing, if it ever falls apart, it is catastrophic.
What do you mean?
It's really hard to pull yourself out of that hole. If you've built your whole life around something and then it falls apart, for you to climb your way out of that, it's very difficult.
You've set your whole mind up that this is what I am, this is what I do, this is how life is.
Yeah.
it's not who I am. It's not gathering for me.
It
Life
doesn't
isn't
last
like this.
forever.
You just don't know what the
And that's the thing. You've got to pay attention to the fact that it doesn't last forever.
I get
That's deep. What do you think the most crucial approaches and behaviours are for putting on a live show?
From a band point of view, know that when you get on stage, you can outperform everyone there, regardless of the genre of music, regardless of what it is that you're playing, who you're playing
Too
to.
confident and stuff.
You have to get on stage and you have to perform like it's the last performance you're ever going to do in your whole entire life. And you're going to sell yourself, your product, your brand to every single person in the room. And regardless of whether they love it or they hate it, the second you walk off the stage, they go, fucking hell. They know you were there. That's the key to it.
What sort of discipline did you have to show as a musician?
Well, the discipline of learning your instrument, one, you need to put an awful lot of time and effort into doing that. It takes a while to get yourself to it. But for me personally, I was in the middle of doing my Bachelor of Arts degree when I signed my record deal. So the discipline that I had to do was I had to do all of the work for my degree
And your music.
without going to any of my lectures and not miss a deadline because I was on tour.
yeah, it's too
Heavy
much.
workload.
That's too
So
much
you didn't
work.
go to any lectures?
In my final year of university, I spent more time on stage in Germany than I did in a lecture.
How did you know
Yeah,
what
but wait.
you had to do for
Now
your...
you could do online lectures, like you can watch.
You couldn't.
Oh,
You've got to remember, I'm 30, so this was a while ago. You know?
no, like usually.
They still had dial-up broadband and stuff back then.
Shit, but I was gonna say like usually
I don't
you
even
could
know what
watch
that
like
is.
the lecture that you.
You don't, yeah, there you go. I don't even know what dial-up is.
How did you get the material?
I had to have one-to-ones once a week with the head of the
Like a
department.
Skype interview?
No, for example, I'd go into university on a Monday morning for a lecture, and at 3 o'clock in the afternoon I was on a train to London to play in London that night, and at midnight I was on a train back up north to go to a 9 o'clock lecture on Tuesday morning. Tuesday night I was on a train back down to then fly to Germany to play a show in Germany on the Wednesday, to then get back Wednesday night, Thursday morning, to then be back at university on Thursday to try and go to the lecture. And if I missed the lecture, I'd have to go and have a meeting with them to kind of catch up on what I'd missed out on. And it was real strict on, you need to get this work in by this date or it's over.
Can I just point out to everyone sitting in this room, Adib, that when you look kind of a late 20 minutes, half hour to a 9 o'clock lesson and stuff like that, just think back to what Steph's just said. Because without that discipline, without that organisation, without that drive to do what you need to do, however hard it is, you're never going to get that internal strength needed to cope with what comes later if it all works out for you. Do you get my point?
Yeah, can I just ask, if there was anything that you could change, I'm talking educational wise, would you?
No,
Good, I like.
not at all.
I like that.
I managed to maintain my education, and I have a degree in creative music technology. And the degree that I've got in creative music technology has enabled me to
Do more things.
work post the first band that I was in. If I didn't have that degree to fall back on, I wouldn't be running the HE course here, because that's a qualification that I had to have.
So you've been in this same band?
I'm in a different band now.
Oh, okay. What sort of approach did you have towards certain musicians while working with them?
Kept my opinions to myself.
I was going to say it depends on the music.
Yeah. I kept my opinions to myself until it got to a point where I couldn't control my opinions anymore, and then I told them what I thought of them to their face, and it didn't go down very well.
That's profit.
He was always all right.
Are there any skills that you have developed since you have began your career in the music industry?
Patience.
Patience.
Yeah.
Why is patience important?
Because without it,
He'd be in prison.
he's got a point. Without it, I would have lost my temper far more than I probably should have done already. I've lost my temper more than I should have done already. But without the patience, I would have lost my temper far more, and I wouldn't have held out for things that I needed to hold out for.
Fair enough. Do you want to speak on any of those moments?
No.
Alright, fair enough. Did you have to prepare yourself for the music industry? If so, how?
I didn't have time to prepare myself. Before I knew it, it just happened. And I was working it out as I went along.
Okay. How did you feel like trying to just work out so many things?
I didn't. I didn't think about it until it had happened. Here's the thing. I went on tour for 18 months. Straight away when I'd done that first big tour with the band, I was on tour for 18 months. And it wasn't until I'd had like 3 months off that I woke up one morning and I was like, oh yeah, I've been to Japan like months ago. And then I was able to recall moments of it. And I was like, oh yeah, I've been to Australia. Oh, I've been to New Zealand.
Because you were just doing it.
Yeah, I didn't think about it until afterwards when I was able to look back on it and think, wow, you know, I'm 20.
Is it all too busy? It's just like a roller coaster. You're just on it.
I looked back on it and I was like, I'm like 23 and I've seen the majority of the world. It's mental. But when I was doing it, I wasn't thinking that. All I was thinking is, fuck's sake, I've got to get on another airplane.
What advice would you give to a young musician before getting into the music industry? For example, sacrifices you have made. Oh, this was my question. You
Cool.
answered it.
Give up everything. Be prepared to give up everything. If you're not ready to give up your life, don't do it.
What do you mean by give up your life?
You have to be prepared to drop everything.
Everything
Your friends,
you
your
know,
family,
everything
your
that we
relationships.
currently know, everything
Everything.
that you consider makes up your life.
If you have a
It's
routine,
all
the
if you have a
things you do,
routine,
like, all the
every
things
day
you
I
do,
do this when I
yeah,
get
yeah.
home. Every day I do this when I get home. I see these people, I hang out with these mates. Just drop it all. Because it sounds stupid. When you're in it, nothing exists apart from that brand, that thing that you're in at that moment in time.
Just in your own
Nothing
world.
else on the planet exists.
Yeah.
That's why people can get swept up then if they've got, like, you hear a lot about this, about the wrong people around you.
Yeah.
And people are isolated because of that, and then get the wrong people around them, and then when they do come back into normal life,
You've not got anyone to knock you
can't
back
relate.
down a peg.
yeah,
That's the one thing I had. My family, every time I saw them, my mum was the best for it. My mum was able to knock me and my brother down as many pegs as she needed to knock us down to keep us
Grounded.
grounded. That's the right word for it. If it weren't for my mum, I probably wouldn't have lasted and made it this far. But she was able to knock me down a peg every time I came home.
How do you?
She was able to make a sense of normality of what I was doing with my life.
yeah, get back to you're just Steph and a part of the
right,
family.
right.
Yeah, no, that's it. I
Special.
was Stephen.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have a stage name. My brother wasn't Frank, he was Christopher. So every time we came home, it was, you know, I got home, I remember getting home
It's
from
like
the
you're a
tour.
child again.
Yeah, when I got home, because I lived with my mum, like me and my brother bought my mum her house, so we always had somewhere to come back to. So when we got home from touring, I remember the first day back after the 18-month tour, I got back, my mum woke me up at 8 o'clock the next morning, and she was like, come on, we're going to town, you've got to go to the bank, we've got to do this, you've got to do this, we've got to go to the post office, you've got to do this. And I was like, alright, fair enough, just straight back into it. Whereas when you were on tour, I'd wake up whenever I want and I'd just phone someone, I'd be like, yeah, this needs to be done today, go and do it. And they were like, alright, sorry.
The music industry is a really snaky business.
Yeah.
And for young people, I think we need to know like the type of people to stay away from and the type of people that you need around you, because you can get taken advantage of.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? By record labels or even to your manager who just wants to get money out of you. So, what advice would you give to us youngsters out there, just trying to make it, but also trying to make it properly? You know what I'm trying to say?
The best advice I can give you for this is when you move up to level 3 second year or level 3 first year next year, you pay attention in your music industry class, because that music industry class is going to be boring as hell at times. That music industry class is going to teach you more about the music industry than you could possibly imagine. That is the most important course and the most important unit that you will do while you're here. It will teach you about the areas of the industry. It will teach you about how to read and understand contracts. It will teach you about licensing and royalties, and it will teach you about what you need to do and how you need to license your music in order to not get screwed over by people. And if in doubt, if you go forward from here and you have a blossoming career in the industry and you're struggling to find people to help you out, come back to someone here and say, I've got this contract, is there any chance you can look over it and just give me a heads up? Last year, we were having countless conversations about contracts people were bringing in, Emma Kitto's contracts that she had, and looking through them and giving them our advice based on the contracts they were bringing in and saying, yeah, this is a really good thing to look at. Don't touch this one with a barge pole. Because we will give you honest advice, because we have nothing to lose and nothing to gain from it. You know, if you can trust someone enough to give you some honest advice on it, wicked. Speak to your parents as well. You know, if you've got a good relationship with your parents or whoever your guardian is, speak to them, because at the end of the day, they will always have your best interests at heart and nothing else. In this industry, everyone has their own best interests at heart, not yours.
That's true.
Someone who cares and loves you is going to have your best interest at heart. Exactly. So that's someone who you really need to pay close attention to.
You also, if you join a musicians union, they will have free solicitors service, so that if you do get a contract and you're paying your subscriptions every month to musicians union, you can send them that and get advice on it. So that's always a good little thing. Cheers, Steph.
I'm not done.
Oh,
I still got questions.
Still got how many?
40 minutes. I think we've got enough information.
Can I just ask a few more questions?
And then again, no, it's the little questions like
Alright.
Geezer's got a life.
I'm sorry, Steph. I'm sorry.
Alright.
We've got time to make up.
Now, during this conversation, interview, I look at you and I see a strong person who doesn't let people take advantage of themselves. And in the music industry, it's hard to be yourself. You know what I'm saying? To not let other people tell you what you should do, how you should dress, what your music should sound like. So, what advice would you give to people there to basically stay true to themselves and not let other people tell them what to do and not ride the bandwagon, I might say?
Through my experience in the music industry and my time in the music industry, I've never had anyone tell me what to do. I've never had anyone tell me how to dress. I've never had anyone tell me what my band should sound like, because whenever they've tried, I've told them to go fuck themselves, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah.
Because for me, I know what I want to get out of it. I know the direction I'm going. I tell the other members of my band how to dress when we get on stage, because I don't trust what they'd wear if they had the decision to make it themselves. I tell them what I want it to look like, because it's my band, it's my brand. I know how to take it from A to B. I'm not saying that they don't know how to take it from A to B. I haven't given them the opportunity. But I know how I want to get it from A to B. So I've given them as much information as I possibly can to ride it in that direction. If further down the line they were to start a band and they asked me to join it, cool, I'd let them make the decisions.
So are you the leader in your band?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
And I think that's one of the most important things. If you know what it is that you want out of it, don't let anyone make you falter off that line. You're your best critic. You know, you will be more overcritical of yourself than anyone else on the planet.
Yeah, that's true, that's true.
You know, it's something, if you ever do a peer assessment in here and you get up and perform, I guarantee someone in here will tell you that you were crap because they're trying to have a laugh about it. Everyone else in here will tell you that it was better than it actually was because they don't want to hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
You yourself will be the one to say, all right, fair enough, you're telling me I got a distinction, but I think I got a merit because of this. You will be the most critical person out of everyone in it. Regardless of how they come across and they perceive it, they're trying to be nice to you and they're trying to be critical, but at the same time, no one wants to hurt anyone else's feelings.
And we all know how sort of touchy egos can be.
Exactly.
So you've got to get your ego out of the way to take on board that real criticism from your own head or others.
If you knock someone down, they're going to be defensive, they're not going to like it, but at the end of the day, like, they're telling you the truth. You know, if you're so pent up and so you've got so much anger and aggression in you that you can't take a constructive criticism, music is not the place for you. You'll end up in jail for fighting with someone. So you've got to leave the ego at the door.
I'll leave that there.
Robert's got one thing he'd like to ask you, Steph.
Alright, Robert.
So say you wrote an album and you know your stuff is good and other people said it's good, but what would you do if you couldn't get signed because...
Put it out yourself.
Sorry?
Put it out yourself.
Okay.
If you think it's good and other people are telling you it's good and you can't get signed, you have to release it yourself and then you have to prove a point to all of those other people.
I mean, say like a producer wouldn't want to, you know, do it because they think they can't.
Find a
make
different
money
one.
out of it.
Find a different one.
Fair enough.
And if not, learn how to do it yourself and do it yourself.
Fair enough.
No excuses.
There's always a way around it. Thank you very much, Steph. Give him a round of applause for his time and energy. Thank you very much.